Welcome to the Lifestyle Chase. This podcast features high performers who have found a way to live their best life while balancing their health, wellness, friends, and family. Proudly hosted by me, Chris Little. Without further ado, let's get started. So, welcome to the Lifestyle Chase. This is episode 40, and today I have the one and only hype man, Sean Freeman. How are you doing today?
Good, man. Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here.
So, what was your day like today?
Day's been pretty relaxed so far. Woke up this morning, coffee, had physio, relaxed a little bit, now I'm here.
Nice. What's it like being a salesman at the Brick?
It's good. I've been there probably about 5 years now. Great company to work for. I think every single one of my family members has been there at one point in their lives. My dad's still there, so it's good. Yeah, I like it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
What is the most rewarding part of the job? Because every job is different, but in its own dynamics, every job has rewards, and then it has the things that are tough that you've learned from. So let's talk about rewards first.
Rewards, it's like since I moved from selling appliances into mattresses and stuff, I find I'm at a smaller store, so I actually get to connect with people a lot better. I get to have a little bit more of an intimate shopping experience. And then just through social media and stuff, I've met a lot of people that have come to see me and stuff and made even more connections that way. So it's pretty fun that way.
Totally. You're like the most community integrated mattress salesperson that I know.
Oh, I'll take that as a compliment. And I like that. So I'll take that rep for sure. What
was the toughest thing about just going to work every day? Everybody has something that's tough about their job. What would you say is the toughest thing?
Commission sales is no joke. It's ups and downs. It's probably the hardest part for sure.
Yeah. If you had somebody that was like, how am I going to make this work? I need advice. What kind of advice would you give to them on commission sales?
Honesty. Don't try and be a salesperson, I guess.
Yeah.
As cliche as it sounds, I think I saw a quote once. It was like, don't be a sales pitch, be a resource.
Yeah.
Yes and no, but for sure you just got to have integrity, and people will see that. People see that you're genuine, and they'll want to not only buy from you the first time, but they'll want to come back again and again.
Yeah.
Whether it's for another mattress or something else. It's good that way.
I think integrity in any line of work goes a long way. Like that's why people are like, oh, a mattress, go to this guy. I know this great guy. Like I don't think he'll fleece you because he shows integrity in everything that he does.
Yeah, for sure. I like it. It's when you get a reputation for being somebody that doesn't just sell based on price point and what pays you more, you'll just find that you'll get more business that way.
Totally. And I think that's kind of one of those rules that you can apply to almost everything. Like you don't. Just like for me as a trainer, I'm not going to sell a person on some package to get this big lump sum amount of money. I'm going to figure out what they're looking for and do my very best to offer that kind of thing. Like even if that means to pay bills, I still need more clients. At least the clients that I have will be happy clients because I did my best to listen, kind of thing. And I think that's a quality that I see in you. I think you're a pretty real human being. So now we have to take it back to your origin story. What were you like as a kid? What was your upbringing like?
Well, I'm the youngest of 7 from a huge blended family. There's 2 Seans, 2 Aarons. I'm lucky enough to have 4 parents. A lot of people ask or talk about product of divorce and all that stuff, but luckily for me it's never been a real big issue. I saw it as sweet, I get more presents at Christmas, I get more presents on my birthday, all that kind of stuff, and I've got 3 brothers and 3 sisters who look after me, so nothing wrong with that at all.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what was your favorite game to play as a kid?
I don't know if I had a favorite game that I can remember.
What's your favorite thing to pass the time?
Oh, well, just watching my 2 stepbrothers play Sega Genesis.
Oh, yeah.
It was probably the funniest thing in the world to watch. whether it's like throwing remotes at each other, beating up on each other because it's just over a silly little game, is probably one of my favorite things to do.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
What was the, like, did you play sports? What were your hobbies outside of the house?
Soccer. Pretty
Nice.
much my whole life, yeah. I don't know where it came from. I don't know how to skate. So I would always joke around that I'm probably the worst Canadian in that way, where I barely know how to skate. But soccer was kind of my thing of choice. Played community league in Calgary, where I grew up for most of my life. Played men's league here, and then I actually played on the National Paralympic soccer team for probably about 3 or 4 years.
What was that experience like?
It was a unique experience for sure.
Yeah.
But also just an amazing one. I got to travel all over North America, got to go to Spain a few times, got to see the world that way. So it was really cool.
And your life has its obstacles and stuff. What would you say would be the greatest obstacle that you've had to face, essentially?
That's a hard one, actually. I'm not sure. To think about it, I would say sobriety would be my hugest obstacle. I've been sober now for about, I think, 15 months, going on 16.
Yeah.
And it's been a challenge for sure, but like I said before, I've got one of the biggest support systems known to anyone, so I'm pretty lucky that way.
You got a lot of people pulling for you. Like, every time, if I ever talk about non-alcoholic beer, and I'll often be in that conversation with, like, Vance or somebody who's, like, looking through beer because it's part of business development.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, I saw this one, and I, like, messaged it to Sean, and, like, you're my person that I know will always appreciate a non-alcoholic beer.
Oh, yeah.
Because it just... It's not so much the alcohol, it's just like the craft of making it, and like there's so much to it. Like right now as we speak, I have nothing but non-alcoholic beer in my fridge.
Yeah.
Because I like it for its like recovery attributes kind of thing.
Yeah, I like it, and I'm always on the hunt for different kinds. So if anyone has some, just send them my way. I have like even a little story on my Instagram of all the ones that I've tried so far.
That's awesome.
And and I'm always looking for more. So, but for me, it was just like it became a thing of like, in society nowadays, it's everything can involve alcohol, and so for me, it was more of like a substitute when you go to like a barbecue, or patio season is a thing, and so for me, it was just always that substitute where I could feel somewhat okay in that situation. But yeah, and bars are getting to be better with all different kinds and stuff like that. Obviously Central has the Heineken 0.0, which is probably my favorite one. And it's now become like a post celebration for anything is to have one of those too. So
totally. And it's just, it enables people to integrate themselves with a little less like anxiety kind of thing. Because it is so much a part of culture. Like, one of my clients just doesn't drink alcohol at all, which like I totally support.
Yeah.
And I don't want him to ever feel any reason to not live that way.
Yeah.
But then you see all these people going for patio season, and there's no doubt in my mind that a majority of his coworkers are going out for patio season, and like how do you integrate into that social atmosphere?
Yeah.
How do you be like one of everybody else? And it's not to say that you should change yourself for anybody else, but it's certainly a lot nicer when there's options and there's just things to kind of like ghost yourself into the environment.
Yeah, well, I find with not drinking now and being such a drinker before, biggest thing is like sense of loss, right? So, and not fitting in. So now you can go anywhere pretty much, and you can be that way. Now some of the bottles are pretty, they stand out pretty good as they're non-alcoholic, but that doesn't really matter. And I don't think I don't shame anybody for it, and I hope that that's not a thing. But it's just a choice that I made, and I don't think I've met one person that didn't agree with that choice I made or support me for it. So
Totally.
yeah.
I think a lot of like our worries just come from ourselves.
Yeah.
Like in most things that I've encountered that would be a struggle to commit to, the only true pushback was my own thoughts, my own process. Like, oh, I shouldn't take this risk, and it's me saying that. It's not necessarily other other people saying that kind of thing.
Yeah, no one expected it from me. It was all me. It was all like, I thought I was gonna be missing out. I thought I was gonna look weird. I thought I was gonna be, the odd man out. But and it was the same way of like, I needed to go out all the time because I thought I was gonna miss out on something, and you truly don't. Like, you don't miss out on anything by not drinking.
Yes.
You can have just as much fun. It does take a while to adapt if you've gone from drinking to not drinking, to adapt to like learning how to have fun again without it. But yeah, it's huge to be able to do that.
What would you say was like the moment when it just hit you and you were like, no more, I need to change?
I was talking to my wife about this actually before I came over here. It was just, I didn't like who I was, and a lot of people didn't like who I was. I even got a nickname going for my like drunk alter ego, and it was just bad. It was just bad news for me. I was just doing a lot of dumb stuff. I wasn't a good husband. I wasn't a good employee. My fitness was crap. But for me, probably the tipping point was I was at a hockey game with a buddy, and then it was just another drunk story where I was, just making really bad decisions, and then I was actually supposed to go down to Calgary to meet my niece, and I missed going down there, and it was just like, that was just the tip, or the icing on the cake, I guess, was just another really bad choice.
Yeah.
So far, just working off of like stubbornness in terms of like, I don't want to drink, I'm not gonna drink. And now I have buddies when we go out and we, like a bartender puts a drink in front of me, they take it and just like, they step up, I don't even have to say anything. But then again, I'm pretty vocal on my social media about me being sober, so it's not really like it's a huge thing anymore.
Yeah, totally. I think you definitely, your allies will always outweigh any pushback that you have, kind of thing.
Yeah. And I realize that I also don't try to be like preachy with it, because I don't think that sobriety needs to be a thing for everybody, because it doesn't. Like, people can definitely handle their alcohol and have a good relationship with alcohol, and that's cool. I just couldn't, so I just don't have it anymore.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So tell me more about your soccer journey. Like, you got to travel all over. What kind of people were on your team? Because it's going to be a dynamic mix. Like,
yeah. So the Paralympic soccer team, I guess we'll just start there and move backwards, but is made up of people with cerebral palsy, which I have, and then also pre-existing like brain injuries. There's a couple guys that had very similar injuries to Sidney Crosby when he got that full rotational concussion, but just never recovered. So they couldn't really have contact, like they couldn't head the ball, or they're not supposed to head the ball. That type of stuff. Whereas the rest of the team was made up of either dudes like me who have, they call it, I think, hemiplegia, so it only affects one side of your body, or fully affects your body, things like that. So that team has taught me a lot, taught me to be humble, and like it was unique in the way that like we would go out and people staring, people looking at us, people looking at me because it doesn't look like I have cerebral palsy, wondering if I'm a coach or wondering all sorts of things, I'm sure. I had to like bite my tongue quite a bit especially when we were down in other countries and stuff. I had to bite my tongue on people staring and whatnot, but it was great. Still to this day, like I keep in contact with some of those guys. Definitely keep in contact with a coach. Now that he sees me running and stuff, he's asked me if I'm interested in coming back. Just not part of my life right now, but yeah, I can't thank those guys enough for giving me the opportunity to do that. It was phenomenal.
And I think like you alluded to it is basically people look at you and they're like, he doesn't have cerebral palsy, but like, what's it like living life having a thing that not everybody believes that you have, but you're still kind of battling it in some capacity?
Well, I've gone through waves with it in terms of like when I was younger, I used to be really sensitive about it. As I've gotten older, though, I don't. It kind of just brushes off. It doesn't really affect me as much anymore. More my fine motor skills. The left side of my body gets tired faster. I can't lift as much with my left side. So it's not really like it's an everyday struggle for me, which I'm super grateful for. Because I see those guys that I was on the team with and just the struggles that they have in life, and I just thank God, I guess, every single time I'm not dealing with those things.
Yeah, and it's like there's a spectrum to the illness, but that goes with just about anything you could have, kind of thing. Like with cancer, there can be a cancer that completely debilitates a person, or they lose the battle, and then there can be a cancer that nobody even knew. Just like Bob at work was out of the office for 2 weeks, came back, and he didn't say why, kind of thing. Like it's such a spectrum, but at the same time, there's no reason to not like acknowledge whatever part of the spectrum you're on, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think I've acknowledged it a lot more, and been vocal about it a lot more. Because again, unless somebody brought it up, I would never bring it up. Yeah. So, but now I've kind of brought up because I'm proud of the fact that I've been able to accomplish some of the things that I've done while having it. Yeah.
The way I see it, and I think the reason that I brought it up is because like there's going to be kids that are having the same illness, like they're in the same situation, and they're like, man, like I don't think anybody else is like me, because they're not going to know.
Yeah.
And
anybody that's listening to this that wants to, get involved with Paralympic sports, I know the coach for my Paralympic soccer team, Drew Ferguson, always asking me about kids I see or kids I know or anybody in the Edmonton area that want to try out for the team and stuff. He travels all over Canada just scoping out kids.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what was it that got you into the team?
A buddy of mine from high school. It was really funny. A gentleman by the name of Brendan Nickel. Him and I played some sort of soccer together when we were in high school, and he just messaged me one day. I'll never forget the day because it was in 2011, and I get a Facebook message from him, and it was just simply like, "Hey man, long time no talk. Hey, I remember when we played soccer together. You said you had cerebral palsy," and I was like, and I didn't talk to him. We graduated in 2004. I didn't talk to him for a long time. Yeah. So it was just a funky message to get, I guess. I was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Cool, still playing soccer?" I was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Cool, my coach wants to meet you." And I was like, "Your coach? Like, what are you talking about?" And then we went into it a little bit more, and then I think it was October of that year, Drew came out to Edmonton to meet me and another couple kids. And then in November, I think it was, I went to my first training camp down in Chula Vista in San Diego.
Oh.
At the American Olympic facility. And that was my first training camp. And then from there, it was all just very fast, very surreal. Luckily, I was in a different job at the time. I was where I could just up and go, which really worked out well for me because I was in that job pretty much the whole time I was on the team. And it was just easily like, hey, I've got a training camp. Hey, I've got a tournament. Hey, I've got this. I got to go. And they're more than willing to just let me go.
So how did financing work for being on that team? Did you have to fund all your trips and all that stuff?
No. I think I don't know the exact mix of it, but some of it's Soccer Canada, some of it's I think it's CP something. I'm not sure, but I just know that like there was a per diem while you were there. There was flights and accommodation were paid for. They do, just like Olympic athletes, get karting sometimes too, depending on the funding.
Yep.
Not as well funded, obviously, as the men's team or women's team, but yeah, we get funding that way to pay for everything.
That's exciting. That's
cool.
It
was when they said that like when I got invited to my first camp or my first tournament in Barcelona, it was 2012, I think it was. And I was just like, I can't afford this and blah, blah. And he's like, and I just didn't even think that that was going to be paid for. And it was like, no, like it's paid for. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Well, I'm in then.
Yeah.
And so, and that was amazing. Like it was just, and I think that's what I missed most about it was those trips is that like dorm room, training field, soccer game, dinner with everybody, lunch with everybody, you know, just all these different sessions, I guess the camaraderie and just the fun times that we had because we were stuck in some university dorm corridor.
Yeah.
And it was just, and the team ranges from like 15-year-olds all the way up to, I think the oldest guy, if Jamie's still playing, I think he's 43 or 44 or something like that.
Still got it.
Yeah. So, and he's the best player on the team by
Yeah.
far. So it's just like, which I know he lives in Victoria. I think I don't know if he's involved in it anymore or not, but, yeah, I think if I went back now, I'd probably be the oldest guy on the team. But, yeah, it's just incredible. And you see kids like, there was a kid that came into the program when I first started, Sam. He's now playing at university somewhere out east.
Yeah.
On I don't know, like 11-a-side soccer team, yet he's the captain of the Paralympic team, and he does both. And to watch him when he first came into the team, we always joked around about like breaking him out of his shell. And then like over the years, he just kind of got comfortable with all of us.
Yep.
And now I see the kid on Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff, and he's a rock star. Like he's just unreal. So it's just cool to watch him develop from that to that. And he's like 100 times the soccer player I'll ever be. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I want you to identify moments of pure joy when you felt happiest, and we're going to zero in on your experience on that soccer team. So try to think of like a few moments where it was like, holy crap, like I couldn't be anywhere else that is more joyful than this.
That first trip to Spain was pretty phenomenal. Stepping onto the field, I don't even know. I was off Facebook for a while, and I think I lost all the photos. I'd taken like 900 photos on our day off.
Yeah.
Which to no one's surprise, I love taking photos, but I think I don't even think I have any of them anymore. But it was just like stepping on the field, and the one game I think that I started. It's crazy, man, to stand there and they're singing your national anthem, and you're standing there with a bunch of guys representing your country was pretty phenomenal experience.
Yeah.
Granted, we didn't have a whole bunch of people in the crowd. We didn't, but I was in Spain. The field was on the beach in Barcelona. Like it was a turf field that backed right onto the Black Sea. I don't know if I'm doing that geography correct or not, but it was a phenomenal experience, and that was so cool. And then to go back again, we went back the very next year to, I think it was the same tournament or whatever, and then to go, we didn't stay at the same place, so to drive past and just kind of relive all those memories of the place we stayed at the first time was
Totally.
pretty cool. Yeah.
So do you have any ways that you remember that? Any mementos, any souvenirs?
I've got a travel box, a very disorganized travel shoebox that has like plane tickets, train tickets. I've got the medals from there because I think we came in first place. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But yeah, I've got a bunch of stuff. And this travel box got like, I think we have like so like those buffs or whatever that you get when we do like running events and stuff, like that type of stuff. They gave us that. I've got that from like when we went to Montreal, a tournament there in 2013, I think it was like something sportif, active sportif or something like that. Tournament there, that I've got all that stuff from there. Yeah, I keep everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what was training camp like for you?
It was good for me, and that was the hard part for me to get used to, is that because I'm more of an able-bodied person with cerebral palsy, I probably could have done like 2-a-day stuff but we scaled stuff back, obviously just for everybody. Yeah. So I think that it was interesting to see how those training camps were run and how our trainers and our coaches, and our coach was just, he's been interacting with all of us for so long that it doesn't even faze him to have to deal with certain things. And especially for me coming in, I was just mind blown at the fact that like all these guys are, they've got, some of them have to wear like ankle braces just to walk, let alone run, and trap the ball, and everything like that was just phenomenal. It was crazy.
What would you say would be the biggest benefit of your experience in playing on that team versus just any other team that you played on?
Being so grateful to have turned out the way that I did.
Yeah.
Medically, I have no idea why I'm not like that. I've never really, I think I went to at the Children's Hospital in Calgary when I was really young. I went to something that had to do with cerebral palsy, but other than that, I've really just kind of just done whatever I do, lived my life, played my sports.
Yeah.
Never had to deal with anything, and just kind of made me more aware of that, how good I have it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll always be grateful for that.
And that's kind of a helpful tool, because like I see kind of how you sort of exercise gratitude in your day-to-day. Like it shows in your social media and stuff like that, through your photography.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us aren't able to exhibit that quality. Like, it sucks. People have to have something like hit them hard to realize what we have.
Yeah.
Like, we're always in this victim mentality, and I think we always catch ourselves in it.
Yeah.
But
well, I still do too.
Yeah.
For sure. I just try to stay out of that rut, or I try to limit how long I'm in that rut for, and exit it immediately.
What would you say your tool for getting out of the rut is?
Running.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Where's your favorite place to run?
River Valley, yes, but right around my neighborhood.
Yeah.
I live in Windermere, so there's a bunch of different segments that I do, and I kind of have a loop that goes around the perimeter of the whole community.
Yeah.
And then you go down this, where all these like massive houses are, and it's just cool to watch them go up and what they've turned into and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd say probably around Windermere, but then obviously everybody that comes on here, and you ask anybody, it's Edmonton River Valley. I still am in awe of that place. So
yeah, it's pretty cool, and it's back to gratitude. Like,
yeah,
we're all thinking, oh man, I wish I could like pick up and leave, move. It's so cold here, but like people don't realize what they have.
Yeah, well, I grew up in Calgary, so there's obviously that rivalry for anything. And I'll be honest, like when I've been here now for 10 years, but for the first 4, I wouldn't admit that I was staying. Like I was just like, I was always going to move back. I was always 1 foot out the door to go back to Calgary.
Yeah.
And granted, I haven't explored the Calgary running community or running areas as much as I have Edmonton's, but I've had other friends and family and stuff say that like the Edmonton River Valley is amazing, and I fully agree. And now that I'm running a lot more with some more seasoned runners that I have explored the areas a lot more, I'm seeing even more of it and falling more in love with it, so it's pretty nice.
What was your introduction into running? What got you running in the first place?
So I warned him about this. So my brother, my biological brother Steve, he's been a runner for as long as I can remember. And when I was being a little bit less kind to myself, not taking care of myself, him and I didn't really always talk. Like he was always there for me and everything, but we just didn't really have a relationship. So when I started to get sober, I basically just jumped on his bandwagon of like, he runs, I'm gonna run.
Yeah,
that'll be our connection.
Yeah.
So he was my starting point for sure. Just trying to find new ways to talk and have stuff to talk about.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Does that continue, or have you?
Yeah. Like I'll me, him, and my dad have like a Freeman group message. That's solely based on like sports and activities. My brother, like I'm more like active in terms of like I'll send them my Strava thing and be like, I need to work on this, I need to work on that, blah, blah, blah. He'll give me some tips. I've dubbed him my unofficial coach, whether he likes it or not, for my running. So, which is just more consistent of like, okay, do this, okay, do that, do this, do that. And so it's good. It's kept us, I think it's helped open more doors for him and I to be a little closer.
Totally. It's good to have that common ground in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
because like down the road, you need that support.
Yeah.
What's the best advice he's given you on running?
I don't know. Me and him have always had the relationship of kind of just like poking fun of each other.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's been so much of advice. Like, I think his advice was like, go running. Like, like
Man,
it was
that's
just
solid.
Like, yeah, like it seems pretty simple. It was just like, yeah, go run. There you go. Well, like, no, but like, what do I need to, like, do I need to do hills? Do I need to do like interval training? Blah, blah. He's like, yeah, we'll get there eventually. And then like a week later, it's like, are you sending me something? And it's like, no, just go run. And so, yeah, that's about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's break down your family and like, how do each of them sort of play a role in you and who you are, in the decisions you make? How have they influenced you in some way, shape, or form?
Okay, well, that'll take a while. So I will break it down as much as possible. Well, obviously I have my 4 parents. My mom, Janice, my dad, Dave, but then I also have my step-parents. So there's Dave and Holly, there's Janice and Jerry. And then my siblings go Big Aaron, Corey, Big Sean, Tatum, Little Aaron, Steve, me. And yeah, I would say like I've never lived with my 2 stepsisters. They've always like, and we range. So my oldest sister I think is 44 now. I'm not gonna, somewhere in her 40s.
Yeah.
And then my 2 stepbrothers are really close. They're like 42. My stepsister Tatum is now 40, I think. And then us Freemans, Aaron and Steve. Aaron's 4 years older than me, so 36, I think, and Steve's 34. So we span quite a distance too. Like my stepbrothers are exactly 10 years older than I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've never really lived with any of the step siblings. So, and then when I moved here, my brothers always lived in Calgary. My sister and I came up here and lived with my mom because my mom's always lived in Edmonton up until 10 years ago. My dad always lived in Calgary.
Yeah.
So there's a few times where I thought the grass was greener on the other side, so I would come live here for a little bit and then miss my friends and come home. But as far as my siblings go, my brother's always been, like Steve, my biological brother's always been, like growing up, I used to copy everything he did, steal his clothes, all that kind of stuff. He got into snowboarding, I got into snowboarding. He skateboarded, I skateboarded, all that kind of stuff. My sister, I call her my big little sister because she's so much shorter than I am. I can put my head on top of hers.
Yeah.
She's just more been my like sounding board, I guess, because her and I are so much alike.
Okay.
Whereas my brother, the middle child, is like flies under the radar, whereas me and my sister are so outgoing. So I talk to her a lot and run things through her a lot for anything that's going on in my life. My sister Tatum, her and I have just kind of always talked, and you know, she's been there for me when I needed her and stuff like that. But again, because of there's a huge age gap, family gatherings were always awesome. Plus, she lived in like Germany. She's got 2 different degrees. She's lived in Germany as a nanny for years and stuff like that. So I think our relationship is starting to grow more now than it was when we were younger.
Yeah.
And then my 2 stepbrothers, I always just lump these 2 guys in together, Corey and Sean. I worked for my stepdad doing attic insulation for every summer from time I was 14 to when I was playing on the Canadian Paralympic team. I was working for him.
Okay.
And they are part owners in the company as well. So I'd see them every day at work. And then when I turned 18, I was living in Edmonton. They were living in Edmonton. They showed me the ropes of whatever you want to call it, the bars and stuff like that. But yeah, it was, I took a lot of joy when I was younger being, like I'm 10 years younger than them. So it was really funny to like, you know, they were 22 when I was 12, or when I started working there, I was 14, they were 24. So just the stories I just laughed all the time at. We joked around a lot. So I got to just hang out with my brothers every day, and it was cool that way. And the thing is that what some people don't understand is my parents have been separated since I was like 1, I think. And then my mom and my stepdad got married when I was in grade 2. So I think those guys are been my family as long as I can remember. So yeah. I don't even refer to them as my step siblings when I introduce them, unless someone's really confused by the two Sean's thing.
Yeah.
Our parents weren't bored. We're step siblings, but yeah, like they're always been my older siblings, and I've never thought of them as anything different. I've never known anything different.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's. Oh, and then also Big Erin, again. She's always been, again, as I was younger, didn't really have a huge relationship. We had family events, all that kind of stuff, everything together. But again, as we've gotten older, she has 3 kids. I try to be a part of their lives too, but they live in Calgary, just outside of Calgary. But as a whole, like anytime anything was going on in my life, I knew that no matter what, I could always count on every single one of them to always be there. Sometimes at like 3 or 4 in the morning, they didn't really like my phone calls. But we got over that. We've gotten past that. So
yeah.
Yeah, I'm the luckiest dude in the world in terms of the fact that I come from this massive family, immediate family, not to even mention my cousins and everything.
No kidding. That's gotta be wild.
Yeah, like I think on my dad's side, I can't even remember last time I counted. I think it was 25 or 26 cousins on my dad's side. And then my mom has 4 siblings. They most of them have kids too. So I've got a huge family, huge support system. I wouldn't want it any other way.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So your commission sales, there's gonna be ups and downs.
Yeah. How
do you stay motivated week to week? Like, what are some things that you just do every week to stay at the top of your game?
I have fun with social media.
Yeah.
Like, at my store, I do have a lot of downtime. Like whether, I do on occasion like try to bring customers in, but for me, doing like the Instagram videos, Instagram posts, for a while I actually created a separate Instagram account, just decided not to do it anymore, but I have a lot of fun that way. And then editing photos, it's just all about keeping myself busy, keeping myself kind of on point while I'm waiting for another customer.
Yeah.
And I think that I don't know how else I'd motivate myself. I think that's it. It's just trying to do some research on stuff that I'm trying to sell too.
Yeah.
That's probably the best way I know how.
Makes sense. And just staying busy kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, are you scheduled for a set schedule?
Yeah.
Or
yeah, like Sunday, Mondays are my days off. I don't get weekends off, which it sucks at times, but also that's when everyone else is out shopping, so it just makes sense to be there. But yeah, so Tuesday to Saturday I'm just at work. A lot of times I'm at work a lot more than I want to be, but that's the life of commission sales. You just go when when we have a good promotion on, I'm there all the time.
Okay.
From open to close. We work in a smaller store, so it's there's only 3 of us at my home location. So if one of them is sick or away or on holidays, you got to cover, you got to be there, which I don't mind. It's pretty, you work more, you make more. So I come from an old school thought of that way. I still love work-life balance, but if it doesn't happen for like a month or so, I'm cool with that too.
Makes sense. What happens if you get sick?
Luckily enough, like I have a good team. We look after each other, so they do the same. We grumble here and there about it, but
Yeah.
I've worked with my manager, Forrest, for 4 years now, and the guy's taught me so much in terms of how to be a better commission salesperson, be a little hungrier, in that sense, but also I think I've rubbed off on him a little bit with being toning it back a little bit too. So
Yeah.
we have a good mix, and then we just added another salesperson last year, and she's phenomenal too in the fact that like she's the same way as me, where if she like we need to work, we need to work.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking like the ebbs and the flows, like you almost have to work harder in preparation for when you might be sick or when it might be slower, hey?
Yes, yeah. Obviously, any retail business knows it's a little bit slower right after Christmas.
Yeah.
So the first couple of years, I was not good at preparing for that.
Yeah.
And then you just gotta be prepared.
Pretty
for
much.
sure. Yeah.
Totally. And it's no different than the training industry, and especially if you're like a contractor working independently, because like some people say that January is when it gets busy, but that may not necessarily be the truth. It just depends on the dynamic. So there's always going to be surges when it's busy, or times when like all of your clients are in town at once and all of them are ready to train, but then another week it could be just like no clients, or clients are going on a holiday, or just the way it correlated. If you're a trainer that's been doing it a long time, then like your client moved on, like they're independent, they don't need you anymore, and
Yeah.
just the timing of it all. And
Yeah.
it's just, I see it as like if I was ever super busy, I wouldn't necessarily say, okay, that's good enough. I would just take whatever clients came
Yeah.
and just do my best to deliver my best, knowing that one day down the road, future Chris is going to thank present Chris.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's just about adopting that mindset. It's so applicable to so many different jobs.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Well, for me too, like obviously being in a mattress store, usually people think it's like one and done. You don't need to buy a mattress every month, right? Or you
Yeah.
shouldn't, at
Yeah.
least, if the guy's done his job properly. But it's that repeat business, because I'm lucky enough that we have it set up that I can luckily sell like anything the brick carries, not just mattresses. So I really love that repeat business of like, okay, I need this time, but then like some people don't like it, but I've even put my cell phone number on my card. I've had colleagues in the past be like, why would you do that? And it's like, well, how do you expect the person to trust you if you're not willing to trust them with something as simple as your phone number?
Yeah.
Right. So it's and I love it because I get text messages now. Granted, I've gotten better. I used to go, like, if somebody would text me, I'd go to like my closest store and, figure it all out. But I've gotten better with like, hey, it's my day off. I'm back in the store this day. I'll help you then. But getting text messages from customers, that want something else is fantastic, right? For me, that building that rapport to have that with my customers is awesome.
Totally. And like the way I see it, the direction things are going now is I'm almost surprised that your cell phone number wouldn't be typed on your card. Kind of.
It is. Yeah, it is now.
Okay,
Like, that's
cool.
the thing. Yeah. So just some people just don't do that. And,
Yeah.
And I get the reasons why. I get, like there's some times where, you get that text message at like, 11 o'clock at night, or you get a phone call, and some people just rather have our customer service deal with it. But we're in our small stores, I am the customer service too. So might as well just be able to make it easier for the customer.
Totally.
Right. So it's good that way.
It's a good attitude to have.
Yeah.
Because I know like I've gotten lots of advice in my training career so far, and a lot of it was just like, look, if you're gonna do this, you're in this for this people.
Yeah.
So if they send you a text, respond within like an hour, 2 hours if you can, kind of thing.
Well, our industries are similar in the fact that like social media is becoming a huge part of it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just word of mouth anymore. That's not good enough.
Yeah.
Right. So, having that presence on social media, I find that I like to do it more from a standpoint of like, come deal with me.
Yeah.
Because like, whether you look at it, furniture companies all sell very similar stuff. Some different than others, obviously, but I find making the shopping experience through me is what I want them to have, not necessarily the products we have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, tell me about your entry into photography. How far back did you start taking pictures?
I would say, like, actual photography, I would say that this, like, last year. My wife has had a camera in the drawer for forever.
Yeah.
One of my buddies, Ryan, who is also an awesome photographer. I just went out shooting with him one day, I guess, and it kind of just took off from there.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I went out to Banff for my wife and I's anniversary, and took the camera with us, and luckily got some really good stuff there. And then now more so, I take a lot with my phone, not so much during the winter. I'm a big baby. I don't like being outside that much.
Yeah.
Which is surprising. If you look at my Instagram, you'll see that I spent a lot of time outside this winter. But I find this summer I'll get back into actually taking a camera. I got a new tripod and stuff. I want to try a bunch of different things and do that. But I always joke around like I'm Zoe Deschanel from Yes Man. I'm that person running around taking photos while running. Some people like running with me. Some people don't for that reason, because I stop to take photos no matter what run I'm doing. The trick is now exploring new parts, because if you run the same route all the time, there's only so many pictures you can take on that route. So
True.
Yeah,
So true.
Yeah. So seriously, I started to really like taking photos and stuff and sharing them last September or last August.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, what's the one picture that you think you're probably the most proud of, if you could pick one?
Oh, that's tough. I like all my pictures, but I think one of my first ones that I took, and then the fun part for me is the editing stuff and spinning it, because everybody takes photos a lot in Edmonton of same places, right? So there's one of of course, Edmonton's new favorite hotspot to take photos of, Walterdale Bridge.
Yeah.
I think it was probably the third or fourth time I'd been out shooting, and that's probably one of my favorite photos.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, would you say it's because it was one of your earlier experiences, so it has that sentimental value kind of thing?
Or? Oh yeah, it was one of the, and then just the fact that I like the stuff that I post on there, and it was me when I took it and I edited it and everything like that. I kind of just I looked at it. It was my screensaver on my phone. I actually just loved the photo.
Yeah.
So I think, and yeah, so that's probably it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's change gears. Let's talk about your other half, your wife.
Yeah.
What are your 5 favorite things about her?
Her goofiness, her love of, I wouldn't say love of travel, but the fact that the woman has not been lived in her home country for a very long time, and just her need to want to explore. I don't necessarily have that need. I like traveling. I like to see different places, but it's built into her that she just wants to be somewhere else, and that's cool. But also her work ethic. The lady's a workaholic, and in a good way. She's always striving to be better at her job. She's phenomenal at her job, I think. And then I think another thing I love about her is her accent, because she's from Australia.
Yeah.
How many is that?
It's 4. We got one more.
Just, I guess, her adaptiveness. She lives across the world from her family. She's been welcomed by mine to adapt to such a huge family of mine.
Yeah.
And deal with all that. So I guess her adaptiveness, her acceptiveness of all that is another thing I love about her.
So how did the two of you meet?
We worked for a company together. She came over a year before we met. We both ended up working at the same place.
we both came out of relationships, and she said it was like that, or I just found out she was single and just started to pay attention to her, and they used to call me Groundhog Day. Because her and another girl at the office would call me Groundhog Day because I would start out in the morning. I'm not a morning person. I don't function that well. I do function. I just don't like talking while I'm functioning.
Yeah.
So I'd come in. I'd like go past the front desk where her and this other girl sat. I'd go to my desk. I'd do my thing. By lunchtime, I'd like warm up. I'd start to open up. I'd talk and blah blah. And then as I'm leaving for the day, I'd be like super positive, full of energy. And then it would just start all over again the next day. And it was just like that cycle forever until I just got to know that I'm not a jerk. I'm just not a morning person. So
Totally.
yeah, so we met there, and then things moved quickly. I think her and I moved in together, started hanging out and all that stuff in September of 2014. Moved in together shortly thereafter. Like I think by January we were living together.
Yeah.
And the rest is history, I guess.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What did your gut tell you when you're like, oh, is this the right one? What were like the telltale signs?
I don't know. So I think one of our first dates, we ended up going to Joey's South Common, I think, and closed out the place just because we lost track of time talking to her. And it was great. She was easy to talk to. She laughed at my jokes.
That counts. That helps.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm not that funny, so her laughing at my jokes was awesome. And then I don't know, it's like we just kept hanging out, and then we've just always been hanging out. So yeah,
it's awesome. I like that. I like it.
Yeah.
So next question, you've talked about a few of your jobs.
Yeah.
Take me through the path of jobs that you've had, because I know that we've talked about like your past jobs. You've had quite a few.
Yes. Yeah. It took me a while to figure out what I was gonna do. So I think my very first job, I'll try and do this quick. Very first job was KFC.
Nice.
I was 13. Next after that was a restaurant in Calgary, Santa Fe Grill, I think it was called, on McLeod Trail in Calgary.
Okay.
Next was American Eagle. I was a fashionista for a while.
Very nice.
Did the double popped collar with the polo shirts, which was like not necessarily a requirement, but they didn't say no. So
yeah.
It was like, I'm just glad I don't think there's any photos around for that. And then I moved here. I actually was transferred with American Eagle to Kingsway. I was the only male employee other than the manager.
Oh, what was that like?
It was interesting. I'm still friends with a couple of them. Well, you know Becky Robinson?
Yeah, I know of her.
Yeah, she worked there with me.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then my other friend Kristen. So I'm still friends with two of them, but it was just funny because I was 16 or 16,
yeah.
And I was surrounded by and I remember very clearly the two that I'm still friends with, very strong women, physically and mentally. So it was very cool to see what they're up to now, opposed to back then. All the while, I was also doing summers with my stepdad, doing attic insulation.
Yeah.
I've gone out to the rigs a couple times. Once when I was like 18 or 19. No, that's a lie. 24 or 23, 24? I don't know. I can't remember that.
Somewhere
in there. Still in that 5-year period. And then more recently, last year, I went out again, just realized it's not for me.
Yeah.
After being a salesman for so long, you can't revert back, I don't think. Worked at the Brick as well when I was younger. I did, at first I was, did the free hot dogs out front.
Nice.
Then I did store merchandising, did warehouse attendant at the Brick in Calgary. Also did the fleet department in Calgary and then in Edmonton. And then what else have I done? I've done electrician for a little bit. I've framed houses. I built, I think, 3 or 4 of them in Calgary, so I won't say the area just in case they've fallen down since then. Yeah, and then also I've done headhunting.
Nice.
And that's where I have met Cassandra, or Chuka, whichever way you want to look at it.
Is that like a nickname or?
Yeah, so it's a nickname her dad gave her when she was a few months old.
Okay.
And it's just stuck. So unless she's in a professional setting, I guess, like at work and stuff, everyone knows her as Cassandra, which is her real given name on the birth certificate.
Yeah.
But Chuka means chicken, is Chooka.
Yeah.
Is her name. Like everyone else calls her that.
Because I've noticed like your Instagram hashtags and stuff, and it's like Chuka and Wombat.
Yeah, Wombat and Chuka. So that started at our wedding because a tradition of her dad's is he gives family members nicknames.
Yeah.
And he chose Wombat for me. So yeah, it just seemed like a catchy little hashtag to use.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What does the nickname of Wombat mean to you?
I'm still figuring that out.
Okay.
Like I knew what a wombat was, so it was like, and it was like fat little furry thing. I don't know how fast it moves, so I don't know, but it got a good laugh during his wedding speech and stuff, and I just kind of accepted it. Like her brothers got one, her sisters got one. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's my spirit animal yet, but I've joked around about I'm gonna get a tattoo on one of my legs that has like a wombat and a chicken sitting on top of it, and just as much as my wife loves tattoos, we'll just see how that goes.
I think that'd be awesome. You should do it.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. And I think like, I don't know, I'd say own it. Own the wombat.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, of course. I'm gonna get. Like I said, I will get a tattoo of a wombat eventually, but
especially now that it's on a podcast.
Yeah. So it's I've fully accepted it. I love it. For a while, people were like making fun of it, and I was like, whatever.
Nah.
I've got a badass nickname, so.
Yeah, like if you can own anything, people have nothing on you.
Yeah.
That goes for what you do for work. Mm-hmm. That goes for your value system. That goes for everything. Just own it.
I agree.
So out of all of those jobs, I want you to share 3 lessons that you learned. Like 3 things that you would tell to your great-great-grandkids about like, hey, this is how we get through life.
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm not sure how to answer that. I would say what it's taught me is that have pride in whatever you do.
Yeah.
Because people will respect you for that. Like if you're, I think my dad was always telling me, I don't care what you do in life. You could be a ditch digger. Just be the best damn ditch digger there ever was. Like just, like you said, just own it. Be prideful in what you do, and people will respect you for it. They'll admire you for it, and you'll be happier because of it. If you're always down on like what you do, because there was for sure like attic installation is not the most glamorous job. Being the owner of an attic installation company like my stepdad is cool, but like being an attic insulator for me wasn't necessarily always like, I wasn't proud of that, and I've never really looked at like having a career. I just had jobs. As you can see, I had many jobs.
Yeah.
Now I feel like I'm in a career, but just having pride. So I don't know if there's 3, but I think that's just overall the jobs I've had. Just have pride in what you do, no matter what it is, and you'll be more successful. You'll be happier, and people will see that about you.
Totally, and I agree. And like that is just as good as 3 points kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the way I look at it is honestly, like if you are struggling to find a way to be proud of what you're doing, then maybe just find something else. But like if you're finding a way to be proud, then you're doing the right thing. And I think you're the proudest mattress salesperson that I know.
I love my job.
Yeah.
I do. It's funny, I'm 32 and I talk about mattresses way too much.
That's how it works.
I'll be out for something, someone will be like, oh, ask Freeman about that, and then I'll go off for like half an hour to 45 minutes, and there's still so much to learn, obviously, with all these different companies and everything, but yeah, it's fun. I like it.
Somebody asks how my life is going, and I start talking to them about training. I'm like, oh well, when you're lifting that, you should probably brace your core, make sure
Yeah.
you're breathing through your rib cage. You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
and it's just if we are really passionate about something, it's going to show.
Yeah.
And if somebody's going to choose somebody, they're going to choose somebody that resonates that pride in what they do. Because it's like, you don't choose someone that doesn't glow with pride. You don't make choices on things that brand themselves as second rate. Like
Yeah.
you make your choices based on what seems like the right gut instinct, what seems like the most premier brand kind of thing. And
Yeah.
so in a way, in you glowing about what you are doing, you're basically being like the Apple product
Yeah.
of your
Yeah.
of your trade,
Yeah.
which is great.
I appreciate that. I like that.
It's something to take away. You get the souvenir from the podcast. You're like, I'm the mother flipping Apple product of this trade.
Yeah. Perfect. I'll take it.
So I now segue into the question that I ask all of my guests. If you could give one piece of advice on how to authentically live your life to the fullest,
Yeah.
what would that piece of advice be?
Just be a person of integrity. Own who you are. And don't be, and just don't, like, I guess, don't lie to yourself. Like, you're going to live more authentically, I guess, if you don't try to lie to yourself about what you're doing, why you're doing it, and then just when you do choose to do something, own it, take pride in it, be happy about it, and I think you'll just be successful in living your most authentic life.
I like it. Don't lie to yourself. That one's good.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining me.
Of course, man. Like I said, it's an honor looking at some of the guests you've had on here. I'm not sure where I fit in all of it, but I do appreciate being asked and being on here.
Everybody has a way that they fit,
Yeah.
for sure.